Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Greenbriar Urban Gardens. My name is Nanette. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, in the low deserts of Arizona. And can you have backyard chickens in the heat of Phoenix, Arizona? Quickly, the short answer to that is yes. We grow about 80% of our produce here on our urban lot. We raise backyard chickens. We raise meat chickens as well on our property. And our whole mission is to let people know and help people and encourage people and guide people to know that you can grow majority, if not close to, a lot of your own food, even in an urban environment. You don't need acres of land to do so. So let's jump in and get started. I also run a small micro bakery. So that's kind of where some of this conversation came from, is when we're at the farmer's market selling our sourdough bread products and eggs, some things from the homestead as well. We get a lot of conversation and questions of, can you, it's so hot, especially now in the summer while we're at the markets, can you have backyard chickens and isn't it hard on them? So it's hard on everybody, to quickly answer that question. And yes, it's still going to be a little bit hard on your chickens, just as it is hard on your other animals if they're outside, or us as well. And there's just specific precautions and things that you need to think of and take and put into place to make for sure that everybody's living their best life through this extreme heat. Just like we would need to make for sure being outside, we take some shade breaks, we wear a hat, we make sure we have our water for our four-legged ones, which mine might be showing up here in a second. They have plenty of water, they have shade, they're able to get inside, whatever the case may be, right, to make for sure that we're protected from this heat. Same thing goes for your chicken. So we're going to talk about a few things of what you need, top 10 things you need to think of when either preparing for having backyard chickens, or if you've already got them and maybe it's not working as well as you would like it to, some things that you can take into consideration or some changes you may make. I have some notes here because I have a lot I want to cover today. So I want to make sure that I try to cover everything, but stay as efficient as possible. So the first thing for those that are just getting started is you need to know your city ordinances, and that goes for anybody. For us in Phoenix, you would look up City of Phoenix / Maricopa County and make for sure that you know what the rules and regulations are for having backyard chickens. For example, for the City of Phoenix, I know that we can have up to 20 backyard chickens on our property. Now, there's a few things that you also need to keep into consideration within those regulations. It will state, and I don't remember these, so you will need to look these up, of the parameters of within your property where you can have them. For example, they need to be so many feet away from adjoining neighbors. It can only be so big, so on and so forth. So make sure that you know that. Now, with that, within the city, at least here for us, there's a couple of things that you also can take into consideration. One, there are pockets within the city where you can have acreage of land. You might have a half acre, a full acre, maybe up to 2 acres of land, and your guidelines might be a little bit different because of that, because you're considered probably deemed within the county as kind of like farmland. So I don't know what those regulations are. So if that is you, you might be able to have more, and your building regulations might be a little bit different. Also, most of the people within the city will fall into this category, which is going to be if you have an HOA. If you have an HOA, whatever the HOA rules and regulations are, trump the city's rules and regulations. So, for example, I know some HOAs, there are some out there that say no chickens at all, and there are some that will allow you to have like 2 to 4 chickens. So they won't let you have the city capacity, but they'll at least let you have a few. So know your HOA rules and regulations as well, if and that does pertain to you. Okay, so the second one, which I really thought should be the first, but if we don't know where we can have our chickens, how many we can have, all of this is for naught. So the second one is heat is going to be your number one challenge here. Winters are not. Where if you flip and go to a different part of the country, they have different things they do because they have extreme cold in the winter and stuff, and they need to keep their chickens warm. We don't have that problem. We have to figure out and look to see how to keep our chickens cool and comfortable within this extreme heat. Average, a chicken internal body temperature runs about 106, 107 degrees. So if you add that on top of our extreme heat, if you think about us as humans, even, we run about 98.6. And then if we're out in this extreme heat, it's pretty intense. So some things to keep into consideration. But one thing you want to keep into mind is open air. As you can see, our coop is completely basically wire. So they have plenty of ventilation in there. even their coop right back here. Maybe I should move over here real quick. Their coop over here, where they sleep at night, go in to lay their eggs. We make a makeshift door, which is kind of, it's still open, but usually have that open all the way so they can get air in there even at night. Because here, even in the evenings and overnight, sometimes it won't get down below 100. So it's still pretty warm, pretty stagnant air. We don't usually have a breeze, so they need that ventilation. Also shade, you're going to want to make sure your coop is in as much shade as possible. Right now we have the shade tree up here. Backside of their run over there, they have a shaded tinted top. You need to make for sure that they have access to consistent water. Water is huge. In the winter and most of the time, I think you can see the little red dishes down there at the bottom. Those ones are for our automatic watering system, so they stay full all the time. In the summer, they have a tendency to try and stand on those and they will knock them off. So we were talking about some things that we're going to put into place to keep them from doing that. But as you can see, I also have other buckets of water here in this coop. So I make for sure that even though I stay at home and I'm out here 2 or 3 times a day to check on them, that if for some reason something happens to those automatic water systems, the water stops flowing, they've knocked it over, whatever the case may be, they have the buckets that we change out every evening also, so they always have fresh water. Those buckets rely on us to fill them. They stay full. They can't knock them over. They're too heavy. So they have ample water in their run. Just also know your flock, right? Keep an eye on them. If you're seeing that they're over panting, being lethargic, they may need to be cool. They need to be moved away from the flock. Hydration, we talked about that. Ample water, constantly making sure they have water. So if you are one that has to leave the home because you're still working full time, you'll want to come out in the morning. Obviously, make for sure if you have whatever watering system you have in place, I would encourage you to probably double that. That's why we added the extra watering systems here, even though I am at home. And check them at least in the morning and maybe in the evening when you get home. Can keep them cool is you can get like the gallon jugs of water. And for me, because I had such a large flock, but even when I had a small one, you can get 2, 3 of those, whatever, and freeze them. And then in the morning before you leave, or if you stay home, I would say mid-morning, come out, just lay them on the ground, and they'll come and stand on them or lay against them. Chickens cool from the bottom of their feet, so they will stand on that, and that will help keep them cooler if they're struggling. Another thing that we've done also in the past is I've done like one of those, kiddie pools that you can get, Ace, Home Depot, whatever, for like $8-10. I fill it with 2 or 3 inches of water, and then I would put some of the red bricks in there, and they're porous, so they would absorb some of the water, and that would help keep them cooler because they would stand on those as well. So those are a couple quick, simple things that you can do that really don't cost a lot of money. The other thing you can do is my son-in-law chooses to run a cooler. So he has power out to his. He does run a cooler. You can run a fan out there to keep air moving in your run area. We also have in the run over here and back there a misting system. So this misting system goes off every single day. It goes off around the hottest part of the day, so around 1-2 o'clock for about 2 hours. So it helps cool the ambient temperature. I mean, I have a huge difference when I walk into this garden versus the one over there of the difference just in the ambient temperature in the garden itself. It helps to dampen the ground so the ground stays wet. They're over there now because the ground is still damp from yesterday. So that will stay damp through the day and help keep them cooler as well. Okay, so probably the third thing that you want to think about now, you know how many chickens you can have, you know how to go about keeping them cool, what systems you want to put in place to make sure you're keeping them cool in the summer. Is going to be your coop design. Some of these things we've kind of talked about, but predator protection. So if you can see for us, although this is all open, the top is all completely closed, either with the metal roof here, we have the plastic shaded roof there, and then we have wire along some of the others. So no birds, no anything else can get down in there at any time. Secure latches, that's obvious, I would think. A roosting area, so for us, that's going to be over here. They go in there, that's where they roost, so they roost in here. There's 2x4s, they sit, there's bedding to keep them dry and absorb any of their mess. And then their nest box is on the end there as well. So they have access, so they go in there That's where they roost. They sleep at night, and then they can go into their nesting boxes during the day. They lay their eggs or whatever, and they can come out. Obviously, we want to avoid any poor ventilation. This area needs to be as dark as possible because that's where they sleep. All right, so what's the fourth thing? Fourth thing is, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, their run and their enclosure, which this area out here and back here is all their run. They're there most of the day. A lot of times when I'm at home, especially in the summer, I'll let them out back. I don't, but if you don't have, like my son-in-law uses sand, so if you need to, you can add like a dust bath, which is just a bin. You may have seen them. They use, sometimes old tires, they'll kind of partially bury them in the ground, fill them with dirt. They need to be able to do a dust bath. Mine dig in there and make their own dust bath, which is fine. And with that, that helps them keep down their mites and their bugs and stuff and keeps them clean. It is just like us jumping in the shower to clean off. That's what they do. About water a little bit. Water is a main infrastructure for you. You talk about the building is an infrastructure. Yes, it is. You want to make sure that that's taken care of, that's safe, it's open air, but you also need to make sure your watering system is like an infrastructure to you. Heavy duty waters, we talked about adding extra waters, especially in the summer. I always say if you're not going to be out there at least a couple of times a day, you need to make sure you're adding extra water for them. Other water sources besides, say, an automatic one, you want to have the buckets like we do. Number 6, what are some of the best chicken breeds to have that can withstand this heat? Breeds that can handle it a little bit better. And then you also can look at egg production. So for heat tolerant layers that are going to lay a good amount of eggs for you but can handle the heat are going to be your Leghorns, your Americanas, your Ocelots, as well as like your Rhode Island Reds and your Sex Links. Those can handle a lot. And I don't see any out and about. Anyway, when they start to struggle the most is, of course, the older they get, then they are going to struggle a little bit more. But most all breeds that I've ever had, I haven't seen a difference really between one or the other. But these are ones, if you want to ensure and you know that they are tried and true, those would be the ones that I would say that you would want to look into first. Feeding basics. Feed quality, layer feed, right? There's 2 reasons for this that we're doing this. One, we want to make sure these chickens are raised well, properly, living their best life, but they also are providing us with a source of good quality food. And so I want to make sure that I'm giving them the best that I can get. You don't have to spend a ton to be able to do that either. Letting them out in the backyard to free range, nibble at some grass and some bugs that might be in your backyard is huge, as well as good quality layer pellets. We do supplement with layer pellets. That gives them an additional load of protein. And also you want to make sure they have access to some type of grit because that's how they clean their craw. And so I'll add some oyster shells in there. They get little treats like black sunflower seeds. They get mealworms that we'll get for them and raise for them sometimes. So there's all kinds of different things. You can spoil them to the ends of the earth if you want to. Sometimes in the summer, I will take some of their feed and I will also ferment it. So they have that. We'll add a little apple cider vinegar to their water that will help them. And just giving them all the nutrients, just like we would give ourselves or our little 4-legged friends, all the nutrients that you can think that they would need. Health Watch, number 8 is Health Watch in the hot weather. Again, we talked about it a little bit, heavy panting. If they're not eating or drinking, they seem to take themselves away from the flock. What have I done if I've seen that? I don't see it that often. I think I've only seen it 1 or maybe 2 times in like the 14 years that I've been doing this here. And we will just take them. We have like a big dog crate kennel, and I'll either put them up here on the patio, the garage where we have a cooler, and just see if we can kind of nurse them, feed them, get them cooled down, and usually that will help. I think the one time that it really didn't, this chicken also was already, quite a bit old. And so I think the age played more into it than the heat did at that time. All right. Number 9 would be, do you want chickens versus pullets versus adult hens? So I have a specific thought process on this, but just to give you an idea, chicks are the babies, a couple days old. buying them, bringing them home, keeping them in a brooder or a warm spot, raising them until they're feathered out, and then putting them out into your coop and run area. Pullets are going to be more like your teenaged type chickens. They're going to be right at about laying age, which is going to be about 6 months to about a year and a half in that range frame. And then you're going to have your adults, which are going to be between about that year and a half to about 3. For me, I've always done baby chicks. I think that's the best way to go. Teenage ones or the full grown hens. There have been people out there that have had complete success with that. And you may decide to do that and have complete success with that. And that's fantastic. But for me specifically, it's never been all that successful. So we choose to go through the baby chick route. Okay, so number 10 is just a quick starter plan. It's kind of to recap what we've talked about, right? You're going to decide the number of hens and within your city regulations, building your coop. Now, building your coop, you can do it yourself. You can get plans online and follow those plans. You can buy them through, I think Amazon has them. I think I've seen one at Costco one time before. There's people in the valley that will build them for you, but it doesn't have to be fancy, right? Yes, I wanted my cute and I wanted it to incorporate into the style of my garden, and I wanted my flock to be cute and have that aesthetic pleasing thing. We have revamped this one, and there's still some things that I want to do with it. It doesn't look exactly the way I would like it to, and that's okay. It's functioning for me now, and as I adjust a few things, there's a few things that I plan on doing this fall to add a little cuteness to the coop. So we're excited about that. 2 of them are fussing in there. If you want eggs as your main goal, look at the production of chickens. Each chicken lays in a certain number of eggs per year. You can Google that and see how many eggs each breed lays. Colors, they'll tell you the colors that they lay. I wanted a variety of colors too, so that was important to me. And then predator pressure. For us, we don't really have a lot in the valley. It's not like we live out on the farm and different things like that where you have additional. We do have some, and that's the reason why it's covered on the top, is we will have hawks that show up every once in a while. And then in the evenings, once in a while, we'll have an owl that likes to perch itself up there. They let me know the owl's out there. They go, even in here enclosed, they go crazy. So we do keep it closed so those things can't get to them. We've never had them because we've had it open before and none of them have gotten in there and got them, but we want to make for sure our flock is taken care of. Okay, so those are the 10 things that I would say you need to really think about and put into place so that you can be successful, your chickens can be successful in having a backyard laying hens. With that, guys, I hope that this encouraged you. I hope that it answered some questions that maybe you had about adding backyard chickens. And I hope that you have the joy that we have with raising our own eggs, having the joy of the chickens. They are a lot of fun. They're characters, they have their own personalities. And they're a lot of fun, and I think they're a great thing to incorporate, especially with kids. If you have small children, I think that it's a beautiful thing for them. It's an easy thing if you put these systems into place that they can do and help take care of as well. See where their food's coming from. So with that, guys, I'm going to close out. If you have questions or comments, please ask below. I'd be happy to do what I can to answer whatever questions I can for you. If you like videos like this, please like, subscribe, share this video with friends and family. Let's just build a great urban environment where we're raising our own food, helping to cool the heat index by adding plants and vegetation, and just have a really good time. I want to thank you guys again so much for joining me here today. Happy gardening, God bless, and I'll talk with you soon.